Hello, this is Danny Ryan, and I'm here with Tommy Ryan. How's it going, Tommy?
It's going well.
Awesome. Welcome to the Two Bald Brothers on a Microphone.
Two bald brothers on a microphone.
It is, let's see, it is July 20th. Man, this summer's going by quickly. Yes, it's amazing. And today we're going to be talking about the conference that I went to last week, and I'm not going to say Ignite, I'm going to say Inspire, the Inspire Conference, aka WPC, which was the Worldwide Partner Conference. And I went out there. Usually in the past, both of us would go out there, so I missed you, Tom.
Well, the question is, were you inspired when you left?
I was inspired. It was a great week. It was a lot of stuff going on at Microsoft. Satya's keeping everybody on their toes, and Microsoft, lots of changes coming in place. And so, as part of the week, I tried to do a write-up at the end of the day. So I was just going to walk through my notes here with you, and feel free to jump in if you have any questions. But I just thought, this is, we're going to start doing some interviews with some outside folks, but I just thought since I went to the conference last week and just to cover with you sort of what were some of the takeaways that I had from the week. So from the first day, the summary of the first day, one is that next year, I guess if we go next year, it's in our favorite place to go to, Las Vegas, not.
Oh, yeah. Everything's good. It's just slipping on those cards of women on the sidewalks.
I'm not going to be taking my family out there, but I think they're wanting to do this because this week I think Microsoft Ready was in Las Vegas, so I think they're doing it sort of back to back with that conference. So having the partner conference and then their internal conference the week afterwards. So Microsoft folks will have 2 weeks in Vegas. The big thing from the first day was the announcement, and this is sort of a bundling type of announcement, which was Office 365 plus Windows plus Enterprise Mobility and Security. They're now calling this Microsoft 365. So I just noted that there might need to be a new tag that we have up on our blog, which refers to that. I don't know how much.
It's also still staying as Office 365. That doesn't go away, right?
You got it. You got it. This is a bundling thing. So I think making it everybody sort of saw this coming. It's just another way of the 101 ways of packaging Microsoft products, and this is just a new way of doing that. So I think the products themselves are pretty much staying the same. It's just a bundling move. The other thing was surprise to me. I don't know whether I just wasn't paying attention to the news or what it was, but Ron Huddleston, I don't think we worked with him when we were doing stuff with Salesforce, but he was the person behind the App Exchange, and with our history where we've created App Exchange apps and worked with Salesforce to build a connector, it was good to see him. He's in charge of what they call their One Commercial Partner Program. Probably bundling that or bumbling that one, but he's their channel chief. He's responsible for that. He went through some of the changes with that. I sort of set out with the PAM and with the channel manager. So they went through some of what this is going to look like. They're really trying to instead of working against what the partners are doing, trying to work more with the partners. So it was good to see that that focus, and it would be great. Just my overall experience with working with the App Exchange has been great. So to see some of that come over to Microsoft's stores would be wonderful. I don't think he's going to be in particular in charge of those stores, but he did some good stuff over at Salesforce. I went to a couple sessions with the LinkedIn, taking a look at what was happening there. You're starting to see some of the work that they're doing integrating LinkedIn to Microsoft products. I think just this week they announced there's a Windows 10 app for LinkedIn, and there was a lot of discussions about starting to integrate LinkedIn with Dynamics. And so it was good to see sort of what they're doing there, and I think they're trying to use this as a means of competing with Salesforce, so it's interesting to see how that's going to come along. So you might, this was emphasized time and time again, which is their 4 solutions areas, which is modern workplace. Yay, that's very much in line with what we're focusing in on. Business applications, applications and infrastructure, and data and AI. Okay. So that is their overall message of the 4 main solution areas that Microsoft focuses in on. Again, I think we're wonderful to hear that they're focusing in on that. And then I love this. There was a $4.5 trillion opportunity. I love things like this. And my favorite meme from that was this one. Dux had put this out. You heard it. $4.5 trillion. Oh, I got a kick out of that. And then, of course, then somebody comes up and says, for every $1 we make, you make $7 or something along like that.
Sure.
All the partners salivate and move on to the next thing. Mobile first, cloud first. Didn't really hear that very much at this conference. It's now intelligent cloud, intelligent edge. So if you see the overall messaging as far as how that's changing and sort of what the updated messaging is for that. So here's a sort of a graphic of how they're showing that. Multi-device, multi-sense, artificial intelligence. So it's sort of how this is changing for them. So I think with everybody, it's sort of like how can it be mobile first and cloud first at the same time? Something's got to be second. Now let's move to this.
Okay.
It was cool seeing women leading up the demos, which was very nice. I think everybody that day there were all women leading up the demos, which was a very cool thing to see. Feedback from the day. Oh, it was hot outside. I took a picture here of everybody waiting outside. I don't know what had happened that morning, but for like an hour up to, it just didn't seem like they were letting people into the Verizon Center, and it got hot really quick, as it gets hot in DC. So that's the update from the first day. And then if we take a look at what happened on the second day. Sorry, I always get caching issues with my computer here. So summary of day 2. Took a quick snapshot of here, digital transformation. I think what they're trying to get to more of is moving on, because you heard digital transformation all the time, over and over and over again. They're trying to basically define what does that mean: empower employees, optimize operations, transform products, and engage customers. This was a screenshot that I took from Chris Capicella session that he did, and it was really neat because he sort of said, well, what does this mean to our marketing department at Microsoft? And he went through real cases of what does this mean to us, and how did this change what we're doing inside of Microsoft, and what's the transformation that we're seeing inside of Microsoft. Because you can say each one of these can apply to each department. It can apply to finance, it can apply to customer service, and so sort of translating this over to that specific department. It was really good. Mm-hmm. You and I like to, we understand there has to be a high-level message, but then how do you translate that down to your individual department and initiatives inside of that department? Mm-hmm. Yeah, wish I had $1 each time this was covered today. 4 pillars of digital transformation. This came pretty clear: engaging customers, empower employees, optimize operations, and transform products. And then I sort of was thinking, this is one of those things where I wish you were around, because afterwards I want to sort of think out loud with it. So I think it was part of the reasoning for I wanted to take notes on this was, so you and I could have this conversation, which is, how does this fit into how we categorize solutions? So sort of like looking, if you look at our website, how does this fit into the different solutions like improve bottom line, drive efficiency, satisfy end users, and manage risk. And so looking at these sort of like, you know, what is that, how do these different things map into this? And there's, you know, we can take the approach of, we sort of want to, we want to align with Microsoft, so we want to look at what they're going out to market with and be in line with that, but we also want to have our unique take on this as well. Right. So it's just trying to look and see, well, maybe if we're using the language is somebody who's going and getting the message from Microsoft, we want them to, for it to be consistent what they're hearing from us as well, but along with the consistency, they want a unique perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
This was, you and I have talked about this, which is industry focus, and Microsoft is wanting to, they're taking a look at all of the different industries that are out there. They are reorganizing underneath these industries, which is financial services, manufacturing, retail, education, health, and government. So everyone in Microsoft is organized into these verticals. So was interesting, again, sort of my take on this was, you know, we have a success portion of the site where we look at the different industries that we've helped out. And, you know, our list is more expansive than Microsoft's, which tells me maybe I'm going after too broad of a list. Mm-hmm. But I think it's interesting that they're only, and this is probably a part of their strategy, is let's go after the big industries, and recognizing that internally we are not going to be able to go after and build expertise in every industry out there. So what are the ones we want to focus in on first?
Yeah, I think for us, we've looked at SharePoint as a platform, and we see that from a horizontal perspective, it solves problems in these different industries, and not necessarily having an industry practice that we have depth of knowledge of everything that has to deal with, say, financial services, insurance, and we don't hire insurance agents and financial service consultants. We're helping people realize the platform against problems in those spaces. And so if you look at this from an industry perspective, it's more of trying to understand, well, how do my problems map to the platform? So that's our approach. For better or for worse, we're trying to speak to the people that we can serve, and at the end of the day, we're not coming to them with a final solution for their space, but a lot of people need to have a knowledge base across these different industries, and what does that look like in the high tech and ISV versus financial services and insurance.
Yep.
And I love the case studies that we have that kind of put skin on that versus it being kind of a generic marketing term.
Yep, absolutely. Went in, had a conversation. So Microsoft had a bunch of booths set up for their partners, and one of them was for the go-to-market campaigns. And yeah, he had me go through this survey of what things you're doing from a marketing standpoint, and I was able to check off all of them. And by the end of it, he was like, "Well, you just need to hire more people in your marketing department." I was like, "Oh, that's nice, thanks, thanks so much." I've got, I think we've are trying to leverage as much as we can out of Microsoft, and really try to see where, making sure we're trying to do the right things from a marketing standpoint. But it was good to meet up with him and to hear, that it was interesting because some of the stuff that come out that morning as far as go-to-market things, they're not up to date on their own site with, but there'll be the campaigns that they'll be coming out with in the near future, hopefully. Fast Track booth, I wanted to go drop by there given the recent project work that we've done with Fast Track, and it was very much in line with what they were saying is using Fast Track as a part of a migration. To utilize their resources as part of it. You own the client relationship and fill in where it needs to get filled in. So the guy was interested to hear. I think I shared more than he shared with me. But that was good to hear that they were not trying to compete with us; they're just trying to augment our services. It was a great presentation. There was a partner about co-selling with Microsoft. It was very honest and forthright conversation. You know, points from her were understand their the account team motivations and fears. She brought up an interesting thing where she was like, in a large account, she brought Microsoft in, and where it helped her was she sold a departmental solution, and Microsoft was able to take that departmental solution and to sell it to other departments. So basically saying, you know, we've seen this inside large accounts where you build out, you know, a calendaring solution or a knowledge-based solution, and one department uses it, and you know, sort of taking it to other departments. And she said Microsoft was very helpful once they understood what type of solution that we created, or that they had created, that they could replicate it across different departments. And just made the points of asking for account lists, and target only a handful of companies. So don't try to go after every company that they're targeting. Just look for a couple of wins. Favorite session of the day was the Chris Capicella. Gave practical examples of using the 4 pillars of digital transformation. He pointed out which was interesting was this Microsoft education site, and he said this was a big move for him, which is the branding is now moving for them behind just Microsoft. And so I was sort of thinking of that and sort of the way that we brand ThreeWill, and you know, you can see what it is now is it's Microsoft Education. He said this was a big change for them to sort of move over to this and focusing in on empowering the students of today to create the world of tomorrow. So more focused in on you know, the idea of solutions for education and less of technology for technology's sake. Mm-hmm. And so I think we'll start to see, and that it was interesting to see this as well. So they have it broken out by role types, like school leaders, educators, students. I think we're trying to do a bit of that when you go up into success and trying to spell out for your role sort of what case studies make sense for your role.
Right.
Metalogix party was the second night. The first night I went to a Nintex party. Second was Metalogix. They had branded maracas, which was fun. It was good to see the team from Metalogix. Everybody was there. You know, their headquarters is in DC, so pretty much everybody from the headquarters was there. Then here's some links that I had run into of resources from Microsoft. Lines were better, but I think that's because fewer people were there, and then got some great socks.
Nice.
For you, and your
I've got them on today.
I would like kick my foot up in the air. I've got them on too. I can't get it up high enough. I've got mine on today. You've got yours on. Can you do it? I think I pulled something. Oh, okay, there you go. Well, and then someone else has some too, right? Oliver? You didn't wear. Oliver didn't wear them today. He was not going to come in yesterday because he didn't have any socks.
I wore them yesterday.
And then you did wear them yesterday.
Yeah.
You put them on yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So we've got matching socks here. So we've got Windows socks. So let me plug back in. Okay, there we go. Third day, number 3.
And this was a 3-day event?
Yep, and the final day was just Thursday was a regional updates. So it was a half a day regional thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Here is this was a partner opportunities in the connected workplace. So they were sort of this was one of the presentations that I attended. So some of the things that they felt like were opportunity-wise. Yeah, it was buzzword of the day, single pane of glass. I just, you know, sometimes you pick up on something that people keep saying, and you're like, okay, if I hear this one more time. So, of course, I have to say, by the way, you're reading this blog post on a single pane of glass because I'm a smarty. Yes, it's expected. Vision Keynote. No, they ended up shutting down the whole top section because there weren't enough people there. But Keynote was covered by Brad Smith, President and Chief Legal Officer. It was a strong emphasis on the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, which takes effect in May 2018. And so he covered, here's some blog posts and resources on that, just saying how that's going to impact the partner ecosystem. And then there was Gabriella Schuster covered more changes to the partner program. It was an honest, shared some stories about why they changed it, some backstories on that. Really focused in on, recognizing that they need, inside of Microsoft, need someone who's in what I would classify as like a connector type of role. So someone who's listening to all the different things that partners are doing and looking inside of Microsoft and making the right connections up. And there's certain people who are great at doing that. And I think they've recognized that that is a role that they need to have. Then there was a discussion with Ian Bremmer about the current state of world politics, which I'm just tired of hearing about politics. And of course I joke around. I would love to have I needed somebody that morning, like, you got everybody coming in on the third day and we're going to talk politics. But I was hoping for somebody like Tony Robbins or somebody, get us up out of the seat, just getting us jumping around, pumped up was what I was looking for. But it was fine. I think it was, just a conversation. I think it was interesting to see this with a world group around talking politics. I'm sure it led to some interesting conversations afterwards, but nothing I wanted to talk about. Meeting some folks, so we went over to the bind tuning booth. It was good, saw them. It was good to meet up with a couple of their engineering folks. Talked to Microsoft rep about the P-Seller program. We looked into this a long time ago. I'm not sure if it's going to be an investment of our time that we want to go into. Mike Ganetti had a couple of good presentations that I went to. One was this Mix, which was a recording application that snaps into PowerPoint, and another is Snip for Office, for Office. And it's a nice little screen capture thing that I've already started using that I really like. And then Skype meeting broadcasts, which I still need to investigate a little bit closer. I was actually going to see if we could use that for this, but was getting some errors, so I just, me, I've got about this much leeway, tolerance for an error. I need something, but it's interesting to look at. It's available to all Office 365 tenants, so take a peek at that. I set up a test meeting this morning. This is for more of the larger broadcast types of things.
GoToMeeting has been kind of problematic for me the past couple months. I'm interested in potentially going to Skype or Join Me to further simplify our tool set.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's one of those things. What's key is some of these products are enterprise grade, and so it takes a little bit more setup to get them ready. And just the size that we are as a company, sometimes we just need a turnkey thing, which is why we do things like GoToMeeting or Dropbox or whatever. Attended a session on the partnership with Adobe. So this was one, I don't know if you've known, Microsoft's strategy with Dynamics has been to say that sort of their marketing cloud version of what Salesforce has is to work with Adobe. And they have an integration. They're starting to integrate LinkedIn more with Dynamics. So I'm just keeping an eye on this. I'm sort of interested to see how this progresses. I had some conversations with some of the Adobe folks about this is for enterprise customers, so this is not like something we would use. So just wanted to keep my eye on this since we've got some expertise in Salesforce and whatnot. Then I went to
it's interesting with Dynamics that it just seems like they're not getting over the hump there. We're not in that space.
Yeah.
We're probably not getting a good pulse of it, but you would think by now they would have been further entrenched into the
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we don't deal with talk to customers day to day about Dynamics like we do with Office 365. So I don't know what to say.
Right.
And with us, it's I think because we're not experts in Dynamics, we're not heaven forbid I say this, we're not using it internally, but we just need to, it's one of those, I just want to keep an eye on it and see how the things progress along. We're busy enough with what we profess to be experts in that I know you can say, Danny, just stop it, just let it go. We're busy enough. Great session from Dan Home on SharePoint and what's coming. Communication sites. It is available on our tenant, so the marketing site is now a communication site.
Okay.
Using new web parts like the news web part. Difference between Yammer and Teams. He was pointing this out because I have a feeling everybody's going through the same thing that we're going through, which is you've thrown all these things against the wall and not sure which ones you're expecting us to use for what situation. And then, of course, when you hear the presentation, it's like, oh, people use what they need to use for their particular, that serves their particular purposes, but it's tough because I think there's a lot of just, people not sure what to use. But his message, let me just go through sort of what his message was, which was Yammer is cross-company discussions for large groups is basically what he's pointing out, based on interest topic, and Teams are for, teams, smaller groups. I think for us, probably the reason why I have problems internally is we're a smaller company, so it's like you really need to have Yammer outside of Teams as an interest topic group. And we're doing cross-department collaboration. We're not that big. I think for larger organizations, that's that it sort of goes across departments. It goes across. It's more by, as he says, interest or topic. But for us, I don't know how much more value we're going to get. And I think for us, we're making the decision internally that let's cut down on the number of different ways we're collaborating, and if we can do it all on Teams, let's do it all on Teams.
Yeah, and we ended up creating the one team, having different channels for those interest topics, that go across the company, and then the rest of the teams are, kind of the smaller purpose-built, team getting work done type teams.
And I think I asked you about this status update, and I was just thinking my thought was, and just to explain further was, Yammer, you just put a status update. This is what I'm working on. And so I was just thinking in Teams, I guess I was trying to translate that over to, if we're not using Yammer, where would I do this inside of Teams? Not really knowing, like, do I put this up in our cafe? And it just seemed like that wouldn't be the appropriate thing for me to do. I could update my Skype status and put what I'm working on there, but I don't think anybody sees. I don't think anybody sees.
Well, what's the purpose of creating that status update?
What you're up for somebody who wants to know what you're up to. Sort of a general. Danny's working on this, or just it's sort of one of those. It's a what's the word that I'm looking for? It's just sort of when you know what you don't
thinking out loud.
Thinking out loud, and just sometimes people are like, oh, I saw real quickly that Danny's working on this. I've been thinking about that as well. How do you find out about sort of those things if you're not sharing it through some way? So just sort of the serendipity of sharing what you're working on.
Yeah, and I look at it as, okay, what am I working on, and what domain does that apply to, and finding the right channel to share information.
Yep.
So you run across something that, this is kind of cool, let me share it with the team.
Yep.
Or put it in the technology channel. Maybe there's something that I want to share that's kind of on the lighter side, so we've got a lighter side channel. I mean, there could be a what am I doing channel. Maybe that would serve a purpose. Maybe there's something that comes out of that.
Yeah.
But of course, we don't necessarily want to share, this is what I'm having for breakfast type, post.
No, that's not. It's more of what are you working on, basically.
Yeah. And I think if it's a technology or marketing or whatever that domain is, put it in that team. Because I think we have quite a few teams that could be landing spots for those types of ideas.
Yeah. So, like, if I'm working on something marketing, then just to post something up as a discussion in the marketing group. That makes sense to me. Yeah, that makes sense.
To be technical, it's a conversation in a channel.
Yeah.
So, it's so interesting how many ways you can communicate. It blows your mind.
He confirmed that there's one team per company client. I think we came to that same conclusion. I overheard him mentioning that, so it sounded like that came up quite a bit, where people were saying
one team per what? I'm sorry.
Per client, like per customer.
Okay, for external teams.
For external teams, or actually, I don't know even know if it was external teams.
Okay.
It might have been sales internal discussions, but he just had mentioned that, so I just took note to that because I think we were trying to figure out as a team we went through a couple of iterations of what we were thinking. How do we want to set this up? Is it a channel? Is it a team? Or how do we want to do this?
Right.
Confirmed that they're building many of the features that companies want in a modern intranet. It just may take some time. So just put SharePoint in a box products on a foot race to outpace Microsoft. I'm just thinking, probably one of them wants to be bought by Microsoft, I assume. I think that's really interesting because there are a lot of options that are out there, and especially from service-based companies trying to come up with a product. And I don't, I was talking to somebody this morning about this, and they're like, communication sites came out, and some of these things like the news web part, which is a new thing, and there's a now overlap between that and what a lot of SharePoint in a box products are doing. So now they've got to re-architect their stuff, and it's like, I don't want to be in a foot race with the SharePoint team, and especially it's a product that is constantly kind of iterating and coming out quicker, and that, so it's interesting to see that. In fact, for next week, I'm gonna have Sam Marshall, assuming everything aligns up okay, who's one of the guys from Clearbox who did that SharePoint in a box report, because I just want to dig into this a little bit further with him. To see what he's seeing and sort of seeing what I think next week he's doing some webinar on communication sites, so I want to just check in with him to see what's going on. Further integration with Flow, so you have the workflow piece of this that's coming along slowly but surely, and then building apps, Power Apps. So again, things for us that it's great to see them coming down the pipe, and I think stuff that our customer is going to be asking for, and it's just a matter of when do we start using these, when does it get to the point where it's something feasible for us to be doing on projects, and that's much smarter people are working on this than me.
Yes. Yeah, and making sure it's not the next info path for our customers too.
That's true. That's true.
Using it if it has the right longevity and extensibility.
Yeah. I have gone really long on this, but you're up to date.
Okay.
You're now officially up to date.
Thanks, Danny.
Absolutely, and we'll get together next week, and we'll do this with hopefully having a third person on here as well. And thanks for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Thanks for letting me go out to the partner conference. That was fun.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.